Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. If you're doing blow with your friends and somebody sneezes, do you have the right to get mad at them? I think you do. I don't know a whole lot about the booger sugar, but from what I understand is that it's quite expensive and you don't want to be wasteful with it. So you don't want your friends to be sneezing, and it seems to me that anything put up my nose, I'm pretty sure I would sneeze. It would make me sneeze. I sneeze when I'm taking stuff out of my nose. When I'm trimming my nose hairs, I'll start sneezing a lot. So I don't really get it. I don't really get the booger sugar. My point is that drugs are bad. Okay? Drugs are bad. Okay? Especially drugs like that.
I feel like regardless of what you're doing, if you're gonna sneeze, cover your mouth, cover your sneeze.
Catch it. Absolutely. Maybe we need to make like a cocaine sneezing rag so. See, I don't know like anything about cocaine. I mean, is there what do you serve with cocaine? Like whiskey? That's what I heard.
Water?
I don't know. I don't know if you need like room temperature. Do you serve it with parsley? Is it you heat it up, cool it off? I don't know.
Maybe defibrillators?
I don't know. I'm not a drug chef. I don't know. Is that a job? Drug chef. So EK and I are sitting here in 2024. Welcome to the new year. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, your host. I want to remind you again that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today, or you can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. You can follow me on social media over here. You can read it on screen. You can read, right? Oh, I just lost 2 of my 4 viewers. So welcome to the new year. Did you have good holidays? I had a couple weeks off. EK's like, he has to change all the settings back. Just from being, just stuff walking by, knocking on the knobs and stuff like that. He's got to alter the audio again. It's been a while since we've been at work. It's 2024. I wish I could say we have big things planned, but not a whole lot of you are become patrons this year, so I can't really plan anything because I got a regular job. Okay. Welcome to the new year. Hope you had a good Christmas. I want to show you my couple of my Christmas presents. This is my favorite one. This is what my niece got me. It's a Funko Pop. It says Uncle Scott on it. Yeah, in my hand, you see I got a laptop and a game controller. I don't know if you can see it too clearly. But I like on the side, it says, "You are one of one." That's right. There's only one of these. There's only one Madman. And this is what I love about my niece, is that she gets how strange and odd and unique I am that she wants to put me in a plastic waterproof case. like a serial killer might. I had some practical things. I needed shoes and I needed a new phone, so I got a new phone. But my second favorite gift is my everyday carry. My everyday carry was a Kershaw Leak. I had it for over 20 years. And the tension bar broke in it, but now I got a brand new Kershaw Leak. Quick release, everyday carry blade. It's lovely. It's a fantastic knife. Fantastic everyday carry, tool. Love it. It's funny because you get older and you're like, yeah, I don't really want anything that I can't get myself. People are like, what do you want for Christmas? And I was like, peace on earth, goodwill towards men. I was like, well, we can't afford that.
You're being unrealistic.
You're being unrealistic. Santa Claus doesn't have that in his satchel. So I hope you had a Merry Christmas. I hope you had a Happy New Year. I was hurting. We gamed on a New Year's Day, and I was hurting. I had a hangover because I mixed champagne and beer. It's all my fault, but I love champagne, but I need like 3 bottles of it to, catch any kind of buzz. So I supplemented with beer, and I ended up with a horrible headache. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2024. This is Shock Monkey Radio. It's going to get weirder. It really pisses me off when people call the ground the floor. Like I've said many times, I watch a lot of cop body cam videos, and they're like, you're going to go to the floor. I'm going to throw you to the floor. If you don't stop acting up, I'm going to throw you to the floor. It's like, dude, that's the ground, officer. And so I would be the guy who said, it's like, no, you didn't throw me to the floor. You threw me to the ground, sir. To the ground. There's a difference. You know, it always bugged me because nobody ever confuses the sky for the ceiling. You know what I mean? You know, if you're outside, it's the ground. If you're inside, it's the floor. And then I went and joined the Navy, which got even more complicated when it talks about the deck. All right? You're on the deck. That's the deck. I was like, oh, you kidding me? We're in a building, though. And boot camp, trust me, boot camp is not the place to make this argument. That is not a deck, petty officer. He goes, get in the front-leaning rest position. Now you sit there and stare at the deck till you realize it's a deck. Seaman recruit. Very quickly go, oh, I get it. I get it. That's the deck. And what do we call this thing above us? Is that the superstructure? Is that the crow's nest? What do we call, what normal people would call a ceiling? Because we're not on a ship. We're in a building in Gurnee, Illinois. You know, this is not a ship. That is not a deck. That's a floor. If we're outside, that's the ground. You can even have arguments about like the pavement and the ground. You know, it's like you didn't get thrown to the ground. You got thrown to the pavement. Big difference. See, I don't know why it's so complicated. It's like I like to call things what they are. And so when I see a cop throwing somebody to the floor and they say, get to the ground, it's like, no.
No.
No, that's not what you're doing, sir. That's why all those people are, it's like, you just wait till my lawyer gets a hold of that body cam footage. Shows you're unhinged. You don't know the ground from the floor from the pavement. So I don't know. I don't know why that kind of thing bugs me, but it bugs me. And, you know, I don't even know why I have any room to talk. I mean, I confuse similes and metaphors all the time. Because I'll frequently say, oh, that's the metaphor I use is, and then I do a simile. I'm real bad at that. So what do I know? All right. Wow, we're moving fast. That's okay. I got a lot to talk about, especially on this next topic. Because, I don't know, let's see if you can make heads or tails of the note that I made. See if you can follow it. See if you can pick out what I'm trying to get at by this single sentence of a note I made for this topic. If a super hot 10 lost an arm, is she now an 8 or a 6? Does that make any sense to you? You know women ratings? Look, EK's confused. Say women is a hot 10. Like, what do you think is a 10? Like say Scarlett Johansson. Scarlett Johansson a 10? If Scarlett Johansson lost an arm, would she be an 8? Or would she still be a 10? Or would she be a 6? See, EK's just as lost as I am when the thought first popped in my head. And let me tell you how this thought popped in my head.
Which arm?
The good one.
The dominant arm?
Dominant arm, yeah. EK's going to think about it. And I want to tell you how I came up with this idea. Because I was watching a police body cam footage video, and this cop's going around taking statements from people. And I was like, he comes up to this one girl, and she's wearing a bikini. I was like, damn, she's cute. She's a 9. And then he hands her a clipboard to make the statement, and she reaches up, and she's got, like, lost an arm here. Up to like here from the wrist down.
Oh, that was,
right below
that
the
was
elbow.
also not clarified. How much of an arm?
Okay, exactly. How much of an arm is lost? That's also not clarified. So my point is I'm looking at this chick and I was like, damn, she's a 9. And even though I saw the nub, I was like, would.
Also, how much comedic effect is possible with?
Well, that's what I mean. If you're in a relationship with someone like that, you know how much fun you can have with people in public.
I'm saying.
Oh my arm! It's just messing with people. So what I mean is that
Every time somebody asks what happened, you just nervously look at your partner.
Well, he had this dog.
Doesn't talk back anymore.
She doesn't talk back anymore, yeah. But I watched this video and I kept rewinding, looking at this chick, and I was like, yeah, she's a solid 9. Solid 9, even though she's lost a bit of her, bit of her arm. You know, and I was like, would she be a 10 with the whole arm? And I said, no, she's still a 9. She's still a 9 even with the whole arm, but she is not an 8 because she lost the arm. She's still a 9. And so my question is like, how much of an arm do you have to lose before it starts affecting your rating? You know? So that's where I'm kind of like baffled, a little lost in that interesting concept. Because if you had somebody who lost their arm at the shoulder, that's definitely going to affect your score. I think that's a big deal. Yeah.
Because if you got no shoulder.
Yeah, if you got no shoulder.
You're wearing strappy dresses.
Yeah, you can't wear. Yeah.
You got to wear custom clothing.
Yeah. And legs are very important to me. Now I'm gonna put this onto the table. It's like I'm a leg man. I like pretty legs. I like long legs. I like women's legs.
I just want to point out, for this bit, we're both really shallow, right?
Right. We're both pretending to be shallow.
Very shallow.
Pretending to be shallow.
I'm saying legs, one leg maybe. The problem is when you get to the second leg, it requires more hardware.
Right. But exactly. All right. You do need like wheelchair access and stuff like that. It does create another level. All right. But what I'm saying is that I would rather be with a woman who's paralyzed from the waist down with her legs than a woman who has lost her leg like mid-thigh, because I love thighs. I love women's thighs. And so I would think that would have a bigger impact on the number rating. You know, so if that woman I saw who was a solid 9 with or without the arm up to here, if she lost above the elbow, like mid, what is that called? The humerus? Right here? I don't know.
The argument that you're making is that you subtract from the hotness score based on completeness of the product.
I guess. I mean, it's a weird gray area we're wandering in here. You know what I'm saying?
It's a bit. It's okay.
It's a bit. Wander. Yeah, it's a bit. It's not like I was trying to find that girl or anything like that. I'm not saying I'm into amputee stuff now. I'm not trying to say that at all.
I'm not trying to say. What I'm trying to do is allude to it.
Welcome to 2024. Welcome to 2024. Shock Monkey Radio. This is what we do. We wonder about these crazy little things. And the point is I'm trying to make is that even if you've lost an arm or something like that, there are guys out there who will be like, would. Because even if she was like a 7, I'd probably be like, yeah, probably would. Because I'm edging on 6. Edging on a 6. So I mean, if like Scarlett Johansson lost an arm and then all of a sudden nobody wants to work with her in Hollywood and she's like slumming it here in Fredericksburg as a waitress or something, I run into her, I still would. Even if she wasn't famous, even if she wasn't rich, it's a good looking woman. All right, let's move on. So I listen to WTOP in the car. That's the DC news radio station. News, traffic, and weather on WTOP. So I was listening the other day, and obviously because it's out of DC, it's incredibly liberal, very, very liberal. And it keeps me angry. It keeps me sharp on the road because I'm mad at the people. I'm mad at Democrats, so I'm on the road and I'm sharp and alert, waiting for stupidity everywhere. It keeps me alive, I think. And so I was listening the other day, and they were talking about one of the many murders that happens in D.C. And this guy was talking about the situation, how it played out, and so forth. And then I heard the line, because, you know, you're fading in and out. You're not half paying attention. Then I heard the line, and then the man pulled out an AR-15 out of his pocket and killed him.
Out of his pocket?
Exactly. EK doesn't even know guns.
What kind of pants was he wearing?
Yeah, what kind of pants was it? Parachute pants, man. And so EK doesn't even know guns the way I know guns. And EK knows how ridiculous that sentence is. And it just goes to shows like so many people who are against like guns and don't think, you know, anti-gun and stuff like that how little they know about firearms themselves. You know, the question of the mistake is that they think a handgun is an AR-15. All right, because AR-15 is a Armalite rifle version 15, basically. You know? And so they think that AR-15 means like any gun, or they even look at them as, quote, weapons of war. But every single Marine knows that they are the weapon of war, Doesn't even matter if they have a gun or not. You know what I mean? God bless you, jarheads. So, I mean, the weapon of war is in many ways like synonymous. The weapon of war is synonymous with handgun, with AR-15, true AR-15s. And so it's all kind of lumped into the same category, the evil firearms. And so when you hear a ridiculous statement like that, you're just like, wow. You're like, wow. It's like, I can't believe people out there are that dumb. Not only is it being said on the radio, is that there's probably people out there nodding to it. Oh, he obviously had an AR-15 in your pocket. Everyone knows you can put an AR-15 in your pocket. I have a suitcase. My wife puts her tank in her purse. You know what I mean? Tank in your purse. Maybe that should be the name of the show. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'll figure it out later. Sometimes I go to sleep when I'm sober. I think about movie scenes that make me happy. And lately, especially after drinking on New Year's Eve, I didn't drink on the first. But I'd sit there and review these favorite scenes of movies in my head that make me happy. Like that scene in Far and Away when Tom Cruise punches that horse. I think about that and try to go to sleep. There's a scene in The Godfather. My favorite scene in The Godfather is when he wakes up and the horse's head is in his bed. And I'm just like, there were other horses in there. Why? I understand that one had a sentimental value to the guy, but it wouldn't have been too hard to kill the rest of those horses. And so that, that makes me feel good too. Never Ending Story, when Artax dies. Love that. That's a good one. Helps me get to sleep. And I was thinking about Band of Brothers. There's a scene in the Band of Brothers series that I really like where they killed a horse. And that one, I thought about that one and I felt so happy. I fell asleep right after thinking about it. And it was a scene on D-Day after they jumped into Normandy. They run across this horse who's coming along the road, and they're all in an ambush position for the horse. And then the horse came into view, and they started shooting. There also happened to be a bunch of German troops around the horse, and they got killed too. But they were smart enough because they shot all the they shot enough times at the horse to wound it, so it's in a lot of pain, and they let it suffer in pain for a little while they checked to make sure all the German guys were dead. And then Joe Toy, I think it was, shoots it in the head, finally puts it out of his misery. I really like that scene. And any scene in a movie where a horse is getting killed or hurt, I love those. They help me get to sleep at night. So, I mean, if you ever have trouble sleeping, that's what I would recommend. Think about horses dying. I told you about the comments on my Horses Are Evil video. Yeah, go look at that video I made, Horses Are Evil. It's in the shorts section. And read the comments, because there's this one that's like, am I missing something? And like, yes, you are. If you don't understand that last segment, I don't know what to tell you. You don't understand me. All right, I want to talk about this. As you might imagine, I watched a lot of movies over the break. So I want to talk about this one while it's still relevant. I know the Christmas season isn't over, but I watched a movie called A Midnight Clear. It's like a war movie. It takes place in the Second World War, and it takes place in December of 1944. Listen to the names: Ethan Hawke, Peter Berg, Kevin Dillon, Gary Sinise, Frank Whaley, Ari Gross. Lots of faces and names you've heard and seen before and since. So, I mean, and it was a fairly low budget from what I could tell. Just a couple of sets and a few quality props and costumes. That's all. And some good acting. And how can I put this? It's a beautiful tragedy. The movie is a tragedy, and I like tragedies. I do. Some people may not like tragedy, but I think this is a beautiful tragedy, and I think it's a highly quality piece of art. It's a kind of movie you don't really see much anymore, in many ways. So let me give you the rundown of how this movie goes. So Ethan Hawke plays a sergeant in of this squad that you see here on the screen. And their orders are to like go to a certain farmhouse on a map and like hold that and report on enemy activity, blah, blah, blah. And so he and his squad go down and on the way to this house to take and control this house. And they come across something in the road, and it's a frozen dead American GI and a frozen German soldier, and like put together upright, like they're in embracing. All right. It's weird. Even when you understand the context of this movie, it's a little weird. But they don't know what to make of it, and so they continue on to their objective, and they take the house. And in the house, they find wine, they find like, cases of sardines, and, you know, there's a fireplace, and they can stay warm and fairly comfortable while they're staying there and reporting on enemy activity. And so they got this observation post down low. It's like watching, I think, the road in the graveyard or something like that. And so they always have like somebody at the observation post, you know, watching out for the enemy, you know, because they expect German, you know, activity in the area. And like one night they hear a bunch of like whispering at the edge of the, you know, in the darkness. They hear Germans laughing, you know, Americana. And they're shouting words at them and stuff like that. And they can't understand them. None of them speak German. But one of the guys is Jewish, and he understands Yiddish, and he understands that they're speaking Yiddish. And they're saying, and the Germans are shouting stuff like "sleep tight," you know? And they don't. And these soldiers, they don't know what to make of it. You know, they're not. You know, they're not engaging. There's no shooting or anything like that. And so they're getting a little freaked out because they're shouting stuff at them. They're in the edges of the darkness. They know they're out there. They can't. They're just not engaging. So they're getting a little antsy. And then one night, there's two of them at the observation post, and they see what they think is a German soldier in the graveyard, and they freak out. They duck, and they just tossed a grenade. Poof, grenade goes off. Their phone starts ringing. They're calling up from the house. It's like, what the hell's going on down there? And he's like, you know, we saw a German soldier, and like we threw a grenade. They haven't fired back at us yet. And as he's on the phone, a potato masher comes flying into their foxhole, and he goes, "Grenade, get down!" They jump down to the ground, and nothing happens. Then one of the guys comes up and he looks at it's a spent potato masher. It's just a wooden stick, and around it is a snowball, a packed snowball around where it would be the potato masher, would be the grenade part of the grenade. And they're like, what the hell is this? Then all of a sudden they start getting pelted with snowballs. These German soldiers were throwing snowballs at him. And he's shouting on the phone, "We're having a snowball fight. I don't know what to tell you." And so they're throwing snowballs back and forth at each other, and the Germans like run off. And then they realize that the first soldier they saw that they threw the grenade at was actually a snowman dressed up in German soldier's outfit. So it's the end of the war. A lot of these Germans, they understand there's like a big offensive going on in the south from where they are. They don't want to die. And it's Christmas time. And so they start interacting with these guys to the point where they even set up a Christmas tree and offering their surrender in front of a Christmas tree saying Merry Christmas. And they exchanged gifts. Like the Germans had some sausages and stuff like that. And the American soldiers gave them some wine and sardines. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. That's the only words they could get out in Yiddish to them. And so they end up having a conversation. There's a lot of interesting stuff that happens in this movie. And I don't want to ruin it for you because you should watch it. It's a good one. And so the Germans are worried about, like, if they end up surviving the war and going home, they don't want to be seen as not having put up a fight and be seen as cowards when they return home. Because, you know, at the end of the war, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in Germany. And so they make a suggestion to these American troops that we have a fake skirmish. We meet up at the cabin. We start shooting. We just put up a bunch of, spent casings and some grenades going off and stuff like that. So it looks like they are captured fighting. And the American troops agree to this. They agree to do this, fake skirmish in order to take them as prisoners so that they can all live through the war. It's kind of an interesting idea, but unfortunately, like I said, it is a tragedy and something goes wrong and people die. And there's a character in there played by, what's his name, Whaley, Frank Whaley. He's called Father. He's a guy who was a seminary student. They called him Father because he was a Christian. And there's a scene where he's like, God forgive us. And it's one of those scenes that makes me cry. God forgive us. God bless those Germans. You know, it's funny because war is a terrible, terrible thing, obviously. And it's that way so we don't grow too fond of it, as someone once said. You know, but when you're fighting enemies who are also of the Christian faith, let's be honest, there's a lot of Germans who are Christians. And that's why they're singing, Silent Night, O Christmas Tree. It came upon a midnight clear. And they're singing these songs because they are Christians too, and they believe in the miracle of Jesus' birth and what Jesus represents for saving the souls of all humanity. And even on Christmas, Christian nations will put the war on pause. It's a different kind of enemy. The Germans were a different kind of enemy than, say, the Japanese. The Japanese were zealots. They were going to die for their cause, first day of the war, last day of the war. But the Germans, they were different. They they were willing to surrender. They were willing to survive. They didn't necessarily agree with what was going on with the Nazi Party or with Hitler or anything like that. They're just people serving their country, And the amount of information that the German public had was probably, very restricted in terms of what the party was actually doing. It reminded me in many ways of a Twilight Zone episode called A Quality of Mercy, where it's like soldiers considering showing mercy to each other in the last days of the war. And, it's, I don't know. When people think the war is coming to an end, you think you can live through it. You think you can make it. You can lean on the principles of Christianity to bring you around to, making the best decision. A midnight clear, 10 of 13 stars. There's a sad bit in the middle where they have a flashback because they all were about to go to war and they wanted to lose their cherry, and so they met this girl, and she's a tragic tale in herself, but it's also beautifully tragic. The story is beautifully tragic. It's very, very well written script, but it's beautifully tragic. All right, let's get into the news worth knowing. Back to work, baby. Alrighty. I'm gonna get the videos popping up. Here we go. Mute. All right. ABC News covers Epstein Clinton ties years after Amy Robach hot mic said we had everything. So this is, a lot of people think this is news, but I don't know. Well, I guess I'll cover it. So ABC News was the first to report over the weekend that former President Bill Clinton is expected to be identified as one of several John Does in previously redacted documents related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, and about face for the Disney-owned network after a former anchor and executives spiked her Epstein-Clinton reporting in 2019. Back in 2019, leaked footage of then ABC News anchor Amy Robach shocked the media industry when she was caught saying Disney-owned network spiked her Epstein reporting. That's twice they said Disney-owned network. Quote, I've had the story for 3 years. We would not put it on the air, Robach said on a hot mic, referring to reporting that would have taken place in 2016. 2016. What's that, 8 years ago now? It was unbelievable what we had, Clinton. We had everything, she added in an apparent reference to the former president. I tried for 3 years to get it on, but to no avail. And now it's coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I frickin' had all of it. She said, I'm so pissed right now. She was also heard saying there will come a day when we realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. I had it all 3 years ago. like I said, this has been going on for over 8 years. You know, just reading the story is like reading the story that's the same story that's been going on for over 8 years. The question is something really ever going to be done about this? Do you think? You think anything's going to be done about this? Anything's going to be done to Clinton? You know, this is why I don't believe in karma. You know, you think those people are going to face justice? I don't think so. So you can write all the news articles you want, but no one's going to prosecute these people. How, you know, with the way our justice system is these days, do you really think anyone has the cojones, the intestinal fortitude to do what needs to be done to go after these awful, awful people who do awful, awful things to people? There's like a few crimes there's very few crimes that I think the death penalty should be applied to. And one of them is diddling kids. Don't diddle kids. You shouldn't diddle kids. Remember that one from that Always Sunny? That episode Always. We should write a song how you shouldn't diddle kids. It's like there's no better way to make people think you're diddling kids than writing a song about not diddling kids. Oddly enough, this is kind of the world we're in these days with these. Remember that choir that "We'll convert your children."
Also from Always Sunny?
No, that's not always. That's from a real choir from San Francisco saying we're going to convert your children to be gay. Yeah, they put out a song, and that's the world we live in. It's a weird world. All right, next story. Judge dismisses 3 civil counts against Trump, others, over death of January 6th officer Brian Sicknick. A federal judge on Tuesday dismissed most of the civil counts against former President Donald Trump and 2 others in connection with the death of Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick during the U.S. Capitol riots, I'm using the quotes there, on January 6th. In a 12-page ruling, U.S. District Judge Amit Mehta, dismissed 3 of the 5 civil counts in the lawsuit filed last January by Sandra Garza, Sicknick's girlfriend. Garza's lawsuit against Trump and the January 6 rioters, Julian Qatar and George Tanios, sought damages from all 3 men for claims of wrongful death, conspiracy to violate civil rights, and negligence per se based on D.C.'s anti-riot law. In his ruling on Tuesday, Mehta dismissed the wrongful death act count on both negligence per se allegations. Who wrote this? Sarah Rumpf Witten. Ugh, tedious. It's awful. Mehta dismissed the wrongful death and negligence civil counts against Trump. Garza's claims against the defendants under the D.C. Survival Act and the conspiracy to violate a civil rights claim will proceed. This is the worst writing I've ever seen. Anyway, I might just blow through the news today because it's pissing me off. It's really making me mad. That is awful writing. Anyway, they're going to pursue charges on this guy. You know, the Epstein clients. Nah, not so much. But this guy, they're going to go after him full force, aren't they? See, I'm getting mad. I'm getting mad. You see, I'm getting quiet. When I'm getting quiet, I'm getting mad. All right. See, this is what happens when you take 2 weeks off and not reading the news. Yeah, I got all the adrenaline's fresh, you know what I mean? Been stored up. Yeah, been stored up for a while. All right. So Russia fires hypersonic ballistic missiles at Ukraine's 2 largest cities, leaving 5 dead, at least 130 injured. Just a little bit of editorial note here. Hypersonic ballistic missiles. 5 dead, 130 injured. Does that seem low to you?
Yes.
Yeah. How much do you suppose those things cost? Anyway. Yeah, I mean, it seems low. So Russia launched hypersonic ballistic missiles at Ukraine's two largest cities on Tuesday morning, leaving at least 5 people dead and 130 injured, officials said. The attack comes as Moscow's war is approaching its 2-year milestone. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on the social media platform X that 4 civilians were killed after hypersonic Kinzhal missiles that could fly at 10 times the speed of sound struck Ukraine's capital city, Kyiv, and second largest city, Kharkiv. As of now, 92 people have been reported injured. They're all receiving assistance. Unfortunately, 4 people were killed. My condolences to go out to the family and close ones, Zelensky said. The death total has been since updated to 5. By 5. What the hell? Who wrote this one? Lawrence Richard. 2-5. By 5. Ugh. The barrage included almost 100 missiles of various types, Zelensky said, noting that at least 70 missiles were shot down. Everyone is being provided with the necessary assistance. I thank the employees in the State Emergency Service of Ukraine, police officers, doctors, everyone who helps people. Zelensky credited the Patriot, IRST, and NASAMS systems for downing the rockets and saving potentially hundreds of lives. Russia's defense ministry confirmed the attack, saying, okay, so it was intercepted by some of their defensive systems. Okay. So Russia's defense ministry confirmed the attack, saying its military fired at military industrial facilities. Saying its military fired at military industrial facilities. As well as depots storing missiles and munitions supplied by blah, blah, blah. The goal of the strike has been achieved. The targets have been hit, he said. It said? Is that it referring to the Russia's defense ministry? What the hell? I'm getting so mad. All right, since Sunday, Zelensky said Russian forces have launched about 170 Shahed drones and dozens of missiles of various types in an onslaught against Ukrainian targets. One missile allegedly used in the attacks was the KH-47M2 Kinzhal, an air-launched hypersonic ballistic missile the Russian forces rarely use as they are expensive and Russia has only a limited stock. Air raid sirens blasted for 4 hours Monday on Tuesday. Whoa. Air raid sirens blared for nearly 4 hours Monday on Tuesday. Comma, and the city's subway stations, often used as shelters during missile strikes, were crowded.
Gonna be okay?
Editing! Oh my God. The barrage comes after Russia attacked on Friday, in which at least 41 civilians were killed. Largest single assault on Ukraine since the war started. Russia launched about 90 Shahed-type drones across Ukraine on Monday, officials said. Wow. This is Fox News, dude. This is Fox News. Can you believe it? Editing. It makes me wonder, like, if the editor actually edits anything in a newspaper. It seems like they just write opinion articles these days. I'm an editor. Obviously I'm a writer. No, you're an editor. Edit. Because it annoys people like me. So here's the point: is like Russia knows that the U.S. is kind of meh about helping Ukraine these days, so they're ramping up their offensive because they know the money's drying up for Zelensky. So Russia's going to end up with they're going to end up with it back. I'm sorry. That's probably what's going to happen. Anyway, let's go to this next story. One more serious one, and then we'll get in the goofy ones. Hopefully they're well written, the goofy articles, because I don't want to get mad at the fun ones. I'll try not to get mad at the fun ones. All right. Speaking of grammar Nazis, Associated Press calls plagiarism the new conservative weapon after Harvard president scandal. The Associated Press is a subject of sharp conservative scorn after it suggested plagiarism was the, quote, new weapon for conservatives after Claudine Gay stepped down as the president of Harvard following plagiarism allegations. Quote, Harvard's president's resignation highlights new conservative weapon against colleagues, plagiarism. An AP headline read on Wednesday. The Associated Press read on Wednesday. A spokesperson for Fox News Digital told Fox News Digital on Wednesday that the piece was not up to standards and is in the process of being updated. It is.
Because it was a good jab.
Yeah. It has since changed the headline to plagiarism charges downed Harvard's president. A conservative attack helped fan the outrage. Gay also faced widespread criticism over her response to the question at a congressional hearing about whether the calls of the genocide of Jews violated Harvard's code of conduct. Gay initially said it depended upon the context before issuing an apology. The Associated Press article was mocked on X, formerly known as Twitter, and its text is hostile framing against conservatives received several community notes. Like other liberal outfits, the AP was troubled by the messengers in the case of Gay's ouster. Quote, in Gay's case, many academics were troubled with how the plagiarism came to light, as part of a coordinated campaign to discredit Gay and force her from office, in part because of her involvement in efforts of racial justice on campus, the AP reported. The campaign against Gay and other Ivy League presidents has come as part of a broader right-wing effort to remake higher education, which has often been seen in as a bastion of liberalism. Republican detractors have sought to get gut funding for public universities, roll back tenure, and banish initiatives that make colleges more welcoming to students of color, disabled students, and the LGBTQ plus community. They have also aimed to limit how race and gender are discussed in classrooms. So whoever wrote this is clearly can write. It did acknowledge, quote, reviews by conservative activists and then by a Harvard committee did find multiple shortcomings in Gay's academic citations. In dozens of instances, first published by the Washington Free Beacon, a conservative website, Gay's work includes long stretches of prose that mirror language from other published works. AP has a page about its news values and principles where it says it's unacceptable for its reporters to plagiarize. And, quote, an AP staffer who reports and writes a story must use original content, language, and phrasing. We do not plagiarize, meaning that we do not take work of others and pass it off as our own, the site says. You know, it's just plagiarism is a weapon. It should be illegal, you know? I mean, I'm not saying that you should lock them up for, you know, if you pass off somebody else's work. I think your accreditation should be suspect.
You shouldn't be able to teach.
Yeah, you shouldn't be a teacher. You shouldn't be teaching anybody. I don't think you should be in a position of authority. I certainly don't think you should be testifying to Congress when they're asking you, is it okay to say you killed Jews on your campus? Yeah, sure. We don't mind. You know, and when it comes to like freedom of speech, I'm kind of for it being said. But I mean, I don't think that if you say from the river to the sea, I don't think that's a direct threat, you know. So, I don't know. Plagiarism. All right, let's get happier stories. I need to cheer myself up. Let's cheer myself up. Let's drink water. That's always good. It's always good to drink water. I drank last night too, so that's why I'm thirsty. All right. Texas woman speaks out after finding opossum hiding in her Christmas tree. Don't know how it got in there. A Texas woman has gone viral after capturing the moment she found an uninvited guest hiding in a Christmas tree. Brett Ingram, 29, a media marketing manager based out of Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, told Fox News she was finishing up some work at home and she heard a soft sneeze. That's got to be unnerving, right? I'm the only one here. Because, you know, it's like those videos of like somebody living in your crawl space or something like that. That's the first thing that would pop in my head. Who's up there? You get your gun and start walking around the crawl space, which incidentally is probably where the possum got in. I kept working thinking maybe I was just hearing things. Women. Then I heard it again with some other squeaking noises. And at first I thought the cat had brought in a rat, or that some small kitten somehow entered her home. Kind of. You're getting closer, getting warmer. After looking under her couches and behind her curtains, Ingram finally found the source of a mysterious noise. As I'm down crouched behind my couch, I look over to my left and just see his tail. Long, naked rat tail. Long, naked rat-looking tail, she said. I stopped and kind of looked up some more and saw a large, breathing gray ball of fur. She made her way around the front of the tree and located the culprit, an opossum. Ingram said that she reached out to a friend who is a wildlife and rehab volunteer, but because it was so late, the volunteers don't take night calls. Yo, I'm just volunteering. Don't call me at home. You call me at 1 a.m. I don't care if you got a possum in your Christmas tree. But the friend shared some steps on how to best remove the creature from her tree in her home. I didn't want to hurt him, so I was really just calling for concern to see if babies were in the animal's pouch, she said. Ingram said her friend told her that she'd be able to pull the possum from the tree, but it became more of a challenge than she anticipated. As I started to try to get him out, he was holding onto the branches. He had some strength because he was so big. Ingram was wearing gloves to protect herself. Good idea! From the marsupial as she plucked out the fingers off the branches to release it from the Christmas tree. Once Ingram pried the creature from the tree, it squirmed out of her hands and ran under her couch. Oh, great. Damn rats. He ran behind the tree under the couch, and it kept moving. I just wanted to, and would just do it over and over. Ugh. Finally pushed the couch aside, was able to pick up the possum under her arm like a cat or a dog. The possum was showing its teeth, but there was no hissing. Ingram was able to calm the animal down before setting it outside her door and releasing it into the neighborhood. You're somebody else's problem now. And she did panic after finding the animal. She wanted to assess its behavior and do whatever she could do to make sure it was safe. She's an animal lover and has many pets, including 3 dogs, 2 pythons. The dogs didn't notice? Or are they outside dogs? I understand that the pythons are the bearded dragon. Or the cat. Why? The cat would definitely notice. What the hell? She documented the moment, found, yeah, she's a marketing manager. Of course she did. 6.6 million views. She believed the animal may have been inside her home for at least a couple of days before she found it, though. She says, unsure how it got inside. While both possums and opossums, is there a difference? Huh. They're marsupials. 2 animals have their differences. Opossums were reportedly discovered in Virginia in the 17th century by John Smith, and they are the only marsupials found in this continent, North America. Though opossum is sometimes written to possum in North America, with the 2 words often being used synonymously, it is technically a misnomer, according to Terminix, Pest Control Management Organization. Do they have some guy working at Terminix who keeps track of this stuff? Possums were first discovered in Australia in the late 1700s. Unlike opossums, possums have furry tails. Huh. Learn something new every day. I still call them possums. Giant rats. Marsupial rats. Anyway, that's funny. Let's talk about this guy. I like watching those people like that guy Steve, 1989 MRE Info guy. He opens like MREs and eats them. For some reason, I like those kinds of things. I don't know why. I've never had an MRE. Maybe that's why. It was like, oh, I wonder what that's like. And anyone who's ever had an MRE says, you don't want it.
Don't do that.
Yeah, you don't want it. So this guy, I'll get this headline. Man goes viral for taste testing last meals of notorious death row inmates. Dude, you need to exercise a lot because you're... You know how high calorie those meals are? If it's your last meal, aren't you going with the most decadent thing ever? So you better, be running like all day. Work off those calories. So a recent college graduate from Virginia is attracting attention from true crime lovers on social media as he cooks and tastes the final meals that were requested by well-known death row inmates. Since September 1st, John Slavin, 23, has shared 26 different Instagram reels featuring his ratings of death row meal requests. The first one he posted was Ricky Ray Rector, a convicted murderer who, according to several news reports, requested steak, fried chicken, a cherry Kool-Aid, and a pecan pie for his final meal. Do you say pecan or pecan? Pecan? Pecan pie? I mean, that sounds good. Steak, fried chicken, cherry Kool-Aid, pecan pie. A lot of calories, but hey. There wasn't any rhyme or reason why I chose Rector to start, Slavin told Fox News Digital. It looks simple to throw together. Sure, yeah. Good place to start then, I suppose. I enjoyed making the content. People enjoy consuming it, and I decided to keep doing new renditions and covering new criminals. Slavin works in finance and creates lifestyle content on social media. He recently graduated from Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri, where he studied finance and accounting. He said he believes it is true crime aficionados who take an interest in Death Row Meals series. I think others have an inmate infatuation and a morbid curiosity about these types of things. Death is something everyone faces, he added. Yet to have the rare opportunity to select exactly what you want to eat right before you die is a very rare human circumstance, and that's fascinating. That's fair. Slavin has recreated and taste-tested meals that have been requested or not requested by several notorious inmates, from serial killer Ted Bundy, who declined the privilege to select a meal. Oh, that's an easy video to make. Today I'm reviewing Ted Bundy's last meal. This is awful. I'm still hungry. After he has declined to choose, Bundy was reportedly given steak, hash browns, eggs, toast, juice, and milk. See, even that's not bad. You know. Slavin also tried meals requested by terrorist Timothy McVeigh, who was sentenced to death by lethal injection for killing 168 people and injuring 680 in Oklahoma City bombing of 1995. In my opinion, ice cream alone is a poor final choice. And choosing mint chocolate chip as the flavor only makes the decision worse, Slavin said as Instagram reel as he judged McVeigh's last meal of choice. Placing this meal in D tier. Timothy McVeigh had bad taste? Who would have thought? For each meal, Slavin first does research of the person, the crime, and the food. He then cooks the food, tastes it, and ranks it in dishes in tiers, being S being, yeah, we all know that, and D being abysmal. The number one meal that was made was Alton Coleman. He said the last meal of Coleman. The serial killer chose to eat filet mignon with mushroom gravy, biscuits and gravy, fried chicken, french fries, broccoli with cheese, collard greens, onion rings, cornbread, a salad, sweet potato pie, butter pecan ice cream, and cherry cola before being executed by lethal injection in 2002. See what I mean? You're going to gain a lot of weight, dude. According to the offices of Clark County prosecuting attorney in Indiana. Slavin went on, he had a large meal, and I thought the meal was well coordinated. It's synergized. It was a full Southern meal. Full Southern meal for 3 people. In America, most states would offer a last meal to a violent criminal preceding that person's execution. Not fully clear how long this ritual has existed, though in many cases, inmates will have their pick of the meal as long as it meets state guidelines. In 2011, Texas eliminated last meal requests after killer Lawrence Russell Brewer requested a lengthy, expensive meal. He didn't eat it and told prison guards that he wasn't hungry. Ruined it for everybody, pal. 1990, murderer James Edward Smith requested a lump of dirt for his last meal.
Did he eat it?
His request was denied, and he was given yogurt instead. And that's not close. It's not even close. According to multiple sources. As for Slavin, he now chooses the meals to feature, so he takes a few things into consideration. I look at the dishes that they select, the story behind the crime, the story behind the selection of the meal, and how they engaged in the meal. Their stories encompass the background of how their case took place and what they may have eaten growing up. Some of his 575,000 followers have offered hot takes on his last meal series. Many people submit requests to him, blah, blah, blah. Some express their disgust to the conduct of the inmate, obviously. So, I mean, you get a wide variety of comments. It was like, what a D-bag. Why do you care what he ate? It was like, I don't know, because I eat stuff. You know, everybody eats. Even criminals, even killers. You know. What's the thing Gavin McInnes always says? Hitler used toilet paper. I use toilet paper. Doesn't make me Hitler. You know? Anyway, that was fun. We're back at work, man. We're doing it again. So this is going to be the end of the show. This is Shock Monkey Radio. Become a patron today. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron. Or you can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio. All one word. I appreciate it. You can follow me on social media. You can see over there. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know when I'm going to like tag this video and like do all the things. So we'll get some clips out. We're back in business in 2024. This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and I love you.